Okay, next up we have a probability question asking about cumulative frequency curves and how to interpret it and calculate the probability. So first thing first, we need to read the problem. So it says, to be awarded a grade A in the algebra test, a student had to gain a mark greater than 64. That's the first information that we have. And continuing, 2 students are to be selected at random from the 60 students in the group. So the second type of information we have is whether these cases are independent or dependent, okay? So because it says selected at random, right? It means that the 2 cases, the selection of the 2 students is not going to affect each other. Which I mean by that, the selection of one student does not affect the probability of selection of the other. In short, these are independent cases. Okay, let's just keep that in mind for now and continue with the problem. So it says, use the graph to estimate a probability that both of these students were awarded a grade A in the algebra test. So first thing first, we need to understand what is the cumulative frequency that a student gets a grade A on the test. So it says mark greater than 64. We're going to find that 64. It's right here. And then we go up the curve straight up. And as you made the line, it's equal to 50. Right? So that means all of the students here, 50 students, are what? They're not A. Right? So now we know that 50 over 60 is what? Not A. So how many students got A? These students, which is 10 out of 60, which is equal to 60 minus 50, which is not A, right? And they're what? They're the A students. So that is the probability of a random student receiving an A on the test, correct? So we said that it's independent cases, which means that we are going to multiply 10 over 6 times 10 over 6, okay? You should recognize that since it's independent, we are not doing 9 over 60 because this is dependent, which means that this student selection affected this one. But in this case, it's selected at random, so it's independent, okay? When it says at random, it's always independent cases. So in this case, we are going to multiply 10 over 60 by 10 over 60, and we get 0.04, okay? You can stay as fractions, but I personally prefer decimals. So yeah, that is the answer to the problem. So the key takeaway from this problem was that you needed to recognize that these 2 cases of selecting 2 students were actually independent cases. Therefore, you needed to multiply them on the probability of a random student receiving an A by its own in order to get the correct answer.